Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community, Oceania Hoon Dok Hae. And today we have Candace as the speaker. Today is Sunday, the 24th of April, or the 24th of March in the 10th year of Chong Guk. So let's begin by offering bow to our Heavenly Parent and True Parent. Kyambay, Paro. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가족 멘세 5. 전국 주인 우리 가족은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 전산세계와 대산적 지산세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진할 것을 멘세하나이다.
Family pledge number 5. Our family, the owner of Chongguk, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world as subject and object partners by centering on true love. I'd like to ask Jeffrey Fires, if you could offer the opening prayer, please.
Good morning to you, most beloved Heavenly Parent and True Parents. We want to thank you that we can be here together this morning once again to be able to hear True Parents' words of guidance through Reverend Yamada and brothers and sisters as they give their testimonies and sharing. Father, we want to build a heavenly region of Oceania. Father, you have prepared this place for these last days. Father, a place where we can be able to share our faith. We can reach out to those around us to draw them near to True Parents' profound understanding and responsibility to substantially build your kingdom on earth. We want to pray for our leaders now, together with True Parent, True Mother in Korea. Father, we look forward to their reports, and we feel a new spirit and a new understanding that is needed to take us on to a new level, Father, of this work of restoration. Father, thank you for blessing us and for taking care of us, for mentoring us in so many ways. We are so grateful to be here together with you this morning, and we invite your holy presence. I offer this prayer in the name of Jeff and Yuki Fires, who represent the Five Central West family. I pray. Jude.
Jude. Thank you. And let's give a warm welcome to Candace as she shares with us today.
Good morning, everyone. I really didn't make much of a slideshow. I just made a quick, what I'm talking about this morning is Family Federation Report, which was a program that we ran in New Zealand for 15 years, or it wasn't full on 15 years or anything like that. It was just gradually like once and then once a month, and then as the funding and material became more, we ended up doing it every month, and then after that, every week. So, but we only changed the program every 2 weeks, because Triangle TV, which was a community station that we actually played it on, they would take whatever they could get, so they would repeat it. So initially they were pretty lenient on us and gave us a very good deal. But then eventually the actual station itself went nationwide and went on a platform called Stratus, which was a nationwide free-to-air in response to sort of Sky to News. And it had about 6 channels to it. So it was watched pretty much for a good 5 to 10 years. It was pretty solid in New Zealand psych. A lot of people did see it, I know that. Jeff would tell you too, because he had lots of experiences where people would come up to him. But anyway, so most of the funding was from the church, from the FFWPU. And I can say that it was a pretty big deal getting the funding, and also the church itself was going through a lot, and so it was pretty. It's pretty well. There was trust board issues and things like that. I don't know if you've heard about New Zealand, but it did go through a big issue. Anyway, we got over that. So yeah, I mostly did all the producing, camera work and editing, only of the New Zealand stuff. Most of the stuff I showed wasn't from us. It was from overseas. It was Divine Principle. It was anything I could get my hands on that looked sort of entertaining, but good on our side of the church. So we had some presenters. Jeff was our main one, and Chris Hall was also, because Jeff went to Palau, left me for 5 years. Jeff, that was hard. So I had various presenters. I had Chris Hall, who is a Maori guy, and he is still, he's blessed and he's living in Marapara. And then there's Steve Evans, and Robert and Matapa Shelley both had a go. And there was Felicity Carnes, and John and Leona both, I'm not sure if they did presenting, but they did a lot in the early work, and they did Dr. John, he came on as a doctor, things like that. But all the music that we played was from Chris actually composed and wrote it himself. It was amazing that he did that. And I just filmed him and then just took the audio. So it's pretty rough, some of it, because, you know, the filming, like the one in North Korea, I went to North Korea, that was all done with a little hand one. It was 3 chips, so it's digital. You got to realize in those days, digital was only just coming in as well. So we had state-of-the-art camera. We had a Mac computer. We got funding from the church, and but it was very expensive in those days. So we were way ahead, you know, in those times. So a lot of members joined in, and now I've spent the last 10 years not doing anything about it. I put some stuff up on YouTube, and then just recently, since we've recovered and we've got this house, and you know, we're sort of over here and finally going through all my tapes. I've literally got hundreds of tapes, but for Family Federation Report, I think there would have been about, I'm not actually sure how many programs, but 50 to 80 to 100 programs, because we did Divine Principle, like several series, and we just cut them all up to like 16 programs for Divine Principle. So it would take half a year to well, quite a long time to show the program. But people, I don't know if they watched it or not, but it was there. So, and then this is actually a little bit, I've lost a lot of our of all the information, because through the moving, it's probably in my room, but it's in boxes. I've got boxes of stuff, and I've got to look through it, and I don't want to look through it. So yeah, so in 1998, a new community station called Triangle TV started in Auckland, New Zealand, which was looking for material. So in January 1999, the first program went to air from a VHS video that was the 1997 Blessing promo, and we edited. Jeff and I went to this editor, and he edited it down for us to 29 minutes, and we'd sit in this little room and he'd do all the cutting, and now we know how easy it is. But anyway, it initially started screened monthly, and then eventually every program screened Saturday at 3:30 and repeated for free Sunday mornings at 10:30 or 10. So Sunday morning was a time spot that became a favourite for many other religions to beam out, you know, to Auckland, and then eventually nationwide on Stratus. So Stratus was a free-to-air nationwide platform that included Triangle TV. Programs like Baha'i On Air, Door of Hope, Voice of Islam, they I mean, I don't know if we were, but we were pretty good on what we believed in, and so we were in a way probably gave encouragement for other religions to actually say what they believed in, because you're going on at TV is pretty pretty critical. People can criticize what you really believe in once you go on TV. So as you can see on this Zoom, I just looked at Scoop, which is a New Zealand sort of media place. And there you can see that was where we were family in between all these programs. So people would watch the program, Muslims, and then they'd watch their program and watch ours, or they'd catch ours before theirs. Like a lot of Baha'i faith people used to watch our program because we were before them for a long time. So the last program was shown in 2013. And so here are I couldn't find all my proper list so I had to even scan these because I couldn't even print them. So these are just some of the programs that you can see. Like we did ones on Spirit World, we did ones on, we even proclaimed True Father when he was in the UN and things like that. We had a video, got the videos from overseas, and then we converted them, and then we put them like, what was it called? CTM magazine. Does anyone remember that? The CTM VHS that used to come out once a month. Anyway, it was about our movement. So we had Beyond the Cross, we had, so anyway, I'll keep going. And these are some of the speakers that I managed to get a bit of
Very young.
Yeah, so we've got Steve Evans, there's Robert Shelley, there's Chris Hall, of course Jeff, he was our flagship. And then Felicity Carnes, she's the Women's Federation leader for a long time in New Zealand. So, yeah. And this is this is just a little bit of, I've got a picture of me taking photos of mother, and then at the Rock at Piha, mother came out. So all I'm saying is when we filmed, it was pretty fun sometimes because we'd get to go, when mother came in Israel, I was filming the whole time, which me and Ian have vowed that we're going to sit down and make a half an hour or an hour program of Israel, because we haven't done that because there was so much good footage and so much tapes. It's hard to look at because it's so good and to know what to cut out. So we haven't done that. It would probably take, 6 months to do something decent like that. So anyway, it does take a lot to edit, by the way. So there's at Damon's, so I was filming there, and when she came over New Zealand, and there's my husband Ross and James when
There's Stephen.
Yeah, at that time.
Okay.
And of course, we won't mention all the wives and husbands that had to put up with us doing Family Federation Report. That was such a big job. And I'm really grateful for Muki and Ross. And both born on the same day, by the way. Ross and Muki. So, and this is, I'll just quickly, I really don't want to say much about my own life, but I know I have to, but that's my dad with the fish. It's not a good photo, but I thought it had fish in it. So, and mum and dad, his name was John Shepherd, and he was a lawyer in Whangarei, and he was a pretty well-known lawyer. And when he actually died, 1,400 people came to his funeral. So practically all the town, and people from all around New Zealand as well, because he was so loved by the community. He was funny. He was a speaker. He'd get up at any wedding and be able to give an amazing speech. Yeah, he was a poet and things like that too. But he changed law in New Zealand by winning court cases, and the Law Society came and gave a speech when he died too. So, but I have brought up with 3 brothers, and we're actually part Jamaican. My ancestry is part, I think my great-great-grandmother was from Barbados, but what happened was those 2 parents died, and so my granddad was brought up by the white side of the family, who really basically ignored any dark side. And so growing up, my father and me never knew our ancestry. We never knew where we were from. And my father actually thought he was part of, we thought we were part Aborigine. And until I was 40, I thought I was part Australian Aborigine. And then we found a long lost cousin who said, no, it's Jamaica, you're from Barbados. Around that area, Western Caribbean. So anyway, that was interesting growing up thinking you're part Aborigine and then you're not. And then you actually start making boomerangs and everything. So we've now got a business, of course, making boomerangs, and we make modern ones. I know, it's ridiculous. It is actually ridiculous, but I mean, because we had a relative that won the Caulfield Cup, and he was famous, and he was called Darky Jamison. That was what he was publicly called. He's in the paper, you know, he was trained horse trainers. He was pretty famous during the 30s, 1930s. So anyway, that was one thing in Melbourne. So I have my roots here. So what I want to do now is actually just play one of the, like I thought about going over a whole lot and show you different this and different that, like, but I just, Ross basically reckons we should just play one. And okay, so this is the program I've chosen. I've done, like, there's some pretty good ones. I've put about 7 up on Family Federation Report, if you go Google that on YouTube. And then, like, for instance, this is one of my favorites. This is the fall.
You need to stop sharing what you're doing now and then share that. Otherwise,
Oh, really?
You gotta stop.
So how do I stop sharing it?
I can do that for you. I can stop sharing
Okay.
the show. And now run your video and then share the video.
Oh, okay. So can you? Oh, I see.
Okay.
Well, do you have to do it for every video?
Yeah. Unless you
Can you see that now?
No, it doesn't look like you're sharing yet. You got to press the green inside, like you shared the slideshow. The same process. You.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Go back. Yeah, but I can't because that's on. Okay. Do I have to go back to Zoom?
Yeah, you got to go back to Zoom. You got to hit share screen, and then you got to find, like, literally the same process you did for.
Okay. Oh, share screen. Oh, down there. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've never done this before. Okay. Well, I'll quickly do this one. Can you see that now?
Yeah, sharing. Yeah.
Okay. So this I really encourage you to watch this one because you won't see it anywhere else. It is the fall of man, and it was done by this Japanese minister, and apparently after he finished this movie, the director, he passed away into the spirit world. So, and these they weren't all they were actors, they were paid actors, some of these, and some of them were members. So, but it is done, it's the Japanese version of the fall of man, and like it's actually acted out. I know there's subtitles, but anyway, it's pretty amazing to watch. It's pretty sad. It's pretty good. And Okay, so, but the one I was going to show is, okay, so we're just, I mean, first of all, on this program, there is a 10-minute video. It's called Pure Free Teens or something like that. But I don't know what's happened to, I looked up Free Teens and it doesn't look like the same people almost. And, but anyway, this is, we played this on TV and here it is. This is the introduction.
Hello again. Welcome to the Family Federation report. My name is Jeffrey Byers. The Family Federation has always supported the sanctity of the marriage. And today we are going to hear from a young movement called the Pure Love Movement that is growing up in New Zealand, and they want to talk about abstinence before marriage. We know that the best environment for raising up children is a happily married, committed couple, committed in marriage. And how do we achieve that kind of family? Certainly, a lot of the things that we do before we are married is going to greatly either help us to make that kind of a family or hinder it. If we are untrustworthy before marriage, if we change our minds a lot, and so on, and certainly if we are promiscuous, then later on when we are married, we may still have the tendency to do those things. We really want to therefore support such an idea as abstinence before marriage. When we think about the 60s, time of the sexual revolution, it changed a lot the way we saw things and what we thought was acceptable or normal. Before that time, it wasn't normal to have sex outside marriage, and that time spawned a lot of very stable families. And then after the 60s, now we come to the time where we have a lot of blended families, a lot of solo parents trying to raise up children under very difficult circumstances. We think about the time that we're in now when we are considering the healthy foods that we should be eating, natural foods, pure foods, things that are not contaminated or genetically modified. What about our social environment? Is that a pure environment that we're growing up in? I think that you would agree that it is not. A lot of what we see on television, through the media, is not pure and not responsible living. So we want to hear from the teenagers today their views about abstinence. Welcome to the program.
Abstinence. What is it? What does it mean to the youth of today? Our society is full of sex, and yet no one seems to hear anything about abstaining. Let's take a look at an American film about abstinence called Love Smut.
Searching for intelligent life in outer space.
But is there intelligent life
Planet Earth
on planet Earth? Many adults seem to think that all or most teens
are incapable
of self-control. But we're not all drug users.
and we're not sex crazy.
Maybe we've made mistakes.
But we're learning.
Maybe we've seen what our friends did and want to do better
Maybe see where our parents do
and think we can do better.
and know we can do better.
Sometimes, sometimes I wake up worrying, God, what if I do have chlamydia? What if my, system is damaged and I can't have kids, I mean, I'm so thinking about going to clinic again and get checked up because I'm not satisfied with my first, my first test. For example, my sister, she was 20 years old and she got pregnant. And I remember when she first found out, she was really struggling with what to do. She was also telling me, she would call me at night. She would have nightmares. She didn't want to marry this guy.
Did you know
Did you know
half of American teens
half of American teens
have never had sex? Have never had sex.
half of American teens have never had sex?
Maybe they're waiting for a better time,
A better place.
like marriage.
Like marriage.
Really, I don't know, it really breaks my heart to hear him say that, I have herpes, And he was like one of the people I was gonna sleep with. I thought, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
her and my father, I guess, had an infatuation, and they decided together to have me, but my father didn't have any commitment towards raising me. It was just me and my mother. The two of us. Not my father wasn't going to be around.
Did you know?
Maybe two-thirds.
Nearly two-thirds
Sexually active teens.
of sexually active teens regretted it and wished they waited. Two-thirds of sexually active teens regretted it and wished they'd waited. Waited.
After a while, you get attached to that one guy. You're just like practically just giving yourself up to him, whether he respects you or not. Because you're just totally attached to him, basically. And to detach yourself from him, it's really hard because you have so much, you feel so much emotion for him, and to give it all up is really hard.
And that kind of ruined my childhood because I had a lot of resentment, towards my father. I kind of would try to pretend like, it didn't matter that I didn't have a father, but it really hurt inside not having a father. Because one, where's your father? Everybody else is always, bragging about their dads, or their dad does this and their mom's doing this or something, and I don't have that to brag about. I can't say, my dad's this, my dad, because I don't know. You have to come up with those little stories. My dad owns IBM company. You have to come up with all those little stories. So that really, it means a kid's childhood not to grow up with both parents.
Did you know? Girls having sex.
Girls having sex have
A higher risk to attempt suicide.
6 times higher risk to attempt suicide.
Maybe sex would make them happy. Maybe sex would solve their problems. Maybe sex would make them feel wanted.
Maybe sex would make you guys up.
It feels so good, it's just like quitting smoking or quitting drinking, You go through this withdrawal symptoms, and temptation is just a block away or something. I have a friend. She's 14 years old. She got STD and now she's sterile. She's 14 years old. She wanted to later get married. She wanted to have kids. She wanted to have a nice family. She can't now. She can't have a nice family. She gets married to her husband. Oh, I love you so much, but we can't have kids. What's he gonna say? You're not gonna be happy.
We're tired of hearing sweet, soft lies.
You don't want to be with.
Any of those guys. We don't want to be with any of those guys.
They'll laugh at somebody who went through it, And they're gonna think that oh no, I'm not gonna go through what she went through. I'm gonna be more careful. I'm gonna use a condom. I'm gonna be the one dumping him or dumping her. I'll be the one hurting them. I won't be hurt. Both ways. You're gonna get hurt no matter what.
In my own family, my father his whole life was pretty promiscuous, a lot of relationships, and myself, I come from a one-night stand, and these accidents are very common. I think people got in the woods, and all of a sudden the girl gets pregnant.
Because you don't do things like this unless you come from a destructive background or you feel some sort of lack of love.
Real men love their kids, spend time with their kids.
Sacrifice for their kids.
Real men honor their wives, respect their lives.
Real men wait until the right time.
Real men wait for the right time.
People actually, don't care about anything like that. Because we don't see it happen. Because that's what I think. People don't see the reality because you don't see anybody dying in front of you, so you feel like, oh, everything's okay, And we don't really know the reality. That's the problem.
I want to be that father that can keep my kids together in a family, with my wife. They can grow up and be proud of me and say, brag to their kids, well, my dad's always around. This is what me and my dad did this time, I want them to have everything that I missed.
Monogamy doesn't mean boring. Monogamy doesn't mean boring.
Look it up.
Look it up. It means caring for. It means caring for.
One part.
One partner. For life. Forever.
That's the best.
That's the best.
Personally, me, a few years is too much. A few months ago, I don't care. We just don't care about it's not just because of the movies or anything like that, but I think we try to put away things on things who can help, who can help us in our lifetime.
And for me personally, it's very hard to regain my value, to know that you come from sort of an accident or a one-night stand, and then to find your value, it takes a while, you know, because you know that it wasn't out of a deep love between a man and a woman.
Did you know?
Did you know? Married people have.
Married people have the best sex.
Married people have the best sex. Wonder why? Wonder why? Because of TRUST. TRUST.
Split trust.
Even the generation who thinks sex is cool, and also something like that. But I like to say something also, people are virgin, things like that. They should be very thankful. It's the greatest thing you can have in your life. Virgin.
Love, sexuality is really essential to how people. Love is really essential to how people relate with everything in their life, and sexuality is a central expression of love. I think if we can't deal with sexuality in the right way, we don't learn to relate to love in the right way. It's all kinds of areas in our life.
Children deserve to have
Children need to have.
2 committed parents.
Children deserve to have.
2 committed parents. 2 committed parents.
It sucks.
It sucks that so many don't.
So many don't.
And you talk, somebody's smoking with a cool jacket, they say, hey, yo, this is cool, I'm gonna do the same thing. And people see somebody having sex, and they think it's cool for them.
It's not really safe sex, but it's less dangerous.
Personally, yeah, it's cool, smoking cigarette or smoking, using drugs and things like that. It's so cool, But somehow, yeah, most of the time people watch it from that they try to basically make their life seem like it's a movie. So somehow, most of the time it's not a movie, it's a reality. You get lost.
You don't need to be extra smart. You don't need to read a chart.
To know that, sex is not a toy.
Sex is not a toy. Sex can create life.
Sex can create life.
Don't misuse it. Don't abuse it.
You're smarter than that.
We're smarter than that.
We're love smart.
We are love smart. We have relationship intelligence. What about you?
I wish if I am a virgin, I wouldn't be worrying about going to the test.
The biggest dream of every young person, I'm sure, is that to have very beautiful love relationship. I'm sure, because it's something very attractive. Also, like sexual love, it's something very attractive. But we cannot have it. We cannot have it if we don't prepare before.
A message to people,
A message to people we love. We want to hear. We want to hear what you think.
not just.
Not just your fears, but also your hopes and dreams.
If you expect bad things,
If you expect bad things, that's what you will probably.
that's what you'll probably get.
If you believe in us,
Maybe real.
maybe we'll surprise you. Maybe we'll do more than you expect.
And when you do whatever you want, basically like that, we become like prisoners of our feelings, of our emotions.
Wake up. What you're doing, just realizing what you're doing is good or not.
Our future sons will have. Our future daughters will have.
Committed
Fathers. Our children will have.
committed fathers.
Our kids will have. Love smart mothers. Our kids will have.
Love smart fathers.
Our kids will have relationship intelligence. Because that's what we've got.
Because that's what we've got.
What about you?
So I've seen the situation in America, but what about here, at home? What do the New Zealand youth have to say about abstinence before marriage? I'm off to Queen Street to investigate.
You can't leave without a trace. Cause your love is still on fire. Faces that I see and sets my soul on fire. Change my destiny. My life is crazy. I want you. might try to understand why you do the things you do, yeah. 'Cause you're
We're here at AHPHC Square Markets to interview people. So far, nobody has bitten the hook. We have not got anyone to interview yet. So we'll interview each other.
What do you know about abstinence before marriage?
Not a lot. That's just basically you save yourself until you get married. That's basically it.
not what?
Like, what do you know?
No, never.
No sex before marriage.
Okay.
That it's abstaining from sex.
Not much better. It's not having sex before you're married.
Do you think that this is a good idea?
Yep. I do think it's a good idea.
Well, it's not something I'd be into, but I've never given it too much thought. It's just as long as they're not being pressured by their parents or religion, then it's okay, as long as it's up to them. But usually it's not, so that's kind of my opinion on it.
For some people, maybe I don't know.
Well, abstinence before marriage seems to be something that's not part of today's generation, just with the culture and the media and advertising. It's so sex around everywhere, seems to be selling everything. But personally, I think abstinence before marriage is a good idea because of my norms and values.
Personally, no, I don't. If you commit to a marriage, a relationship is deep and it's important that you're going to want to know everything about the person. And if you're going to supposedly spend the rest of your lives together, then you have to know absolutely everything about that person.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Sometimes.
should wait for the one that you love.
Yeah.
Wait for the one that'll make you happy.
I think it is a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea because if you sleep around, you're going to get something like STD or something. And STI, infection. The safest way of not getting AIDS or something is just not to have sex at all.
Yeah.
Until you know who you're going to sleep with.
Why do you have these views about abstinence before marriage?
I have a personal faith, and I grew up in an environment where family values were first, and it was more to be with someone you love rather than be with everyone.
Yeah.
So
Mostly from my parents because they're the big protective people. You know. I think the community, the schooling system, a lot from the schooling system. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about it around.
do they tell you
They don't tell you can't do it. They leave the door open, but they let you decide for yourselves, and I think that's good. No, I don't know.
I've dated girls who believe in abstinence strongly, and for them it's a fair point of view, and I respect it. But from my experience, people can change very quickly. They can be something you don't think they are. So if I'm going to commit to something like marriage, I want to know them properly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's personal for me, but I mean, I don't think personally that I would wait until marriage, because what if you never get married? You know, there's always that thing that you might never find the right person. True. So, I mean, if you're in love, then go for it. But if you want to wait for before marriage, then that's cool too.
Just how I've been brought up and stuff. I think personally for me, it's just just being conscious of yourself and just thinking about stuff before you go through it. Really, I mean, sometimes you commit yourself to a lot when you participate in sexual intercourse, and I think marriage is something that you need to sort of find that up and just be sure. I think it's always good to be sure in anything. Well said.
Do your friends have the same views as you?
No, not really cares about it.
No way, they won't wait.
They must have been like 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on the whole, my circle of friends hold these values about abstinence before marriage, but it seems to be quite unusual in today's society. And why do
Well, I can tell you for
for one that Kendrick over here does. I don't know about these guys.
about some other people.
But I mean,
Well, most of them, especially
Dave. What's up?
What's that?
Dave believes strongly in.
What are you branding me with now?
He believes strongly in abstinence.
No, I don't. I believe that marriage is an outdated concept, let alone abstinence.
My God.
he's an ex-guy interview.
But I'm British, so I don't count, right?
Yeah, exactly, doesn't count.
Yeah.
Why do you think that people believe that sex before marriage is okay?
I don't know. It's not really a big deal.
I think we're brought up in a culture where the pressure is there from the very young age, maybe from parents as well, and from the media and in advertising and films and music, that it's pushed that it's an okay idea.
I think it's just, people, they succumb to their primal instincts. It's, obviously a primal instinct to reproduce ourselves. And, people need to control themselves. There's got to be self-control out there.
Well, parents are always like, no, don't have sex, don't do this and don't do that. And I think some kids are just trying to rebel,
And I think the media is a big one. A lot of TV shows.
Having sex on TV, I want to have sex as well.
I know it's social conditioning. People are conditioning us to believe it's okay, but really, it's not really that okay.
Because people are just animals too. As much as we like to think we're all advanced and high and mighty, we're not.
Because it's peer pressure, yeah. It's a good way to get close to who you're going out with too. It's a good way to really be close to your boyfriend as well.
And know him a lot. Yeah. You gotta know the guy a lot before you commit.
Yeah, but in a way, it's just them thinking, he wants me. That's like it's a good way to boost your self-confidence as well. But do you think that abstinence before marriage could be valid at this time? I think it would be very difficult to push that it's the norm these days. It would be difficult to convince people that it's a good idea.
For certain people, yes. For people with strong beliefs, yes. But life tends to kill strong beliefs pretty fast.
I think it depends on the person. It's their choice. If that's what they want to do, then let them. They shouldn't be pushed into it or anything.
I think abstinence is always valid. I don't think it can ever not be valid. People are entitled to their own views. It's how it should be always.
I think it depends on how you're brought up and how you feel about yourself, whether you want to wait or whether you want to, give it up to whoever you're going with. It's really a personal thing for everyone. Do you think that teenagers have enough self-control to abstain from sex?
No, I think a lot of peer pressure comes into it, and it's most people, I don't think, do it for themselves. They just do it because everyone else and stuff like that, and whole other issues. It just depends.
Maybe a few. Well,
Maybe that depends on the individual, whether they have enough self-control. It would have to come from their peer group, their family, school, older sisters and brothers and friends. Some do.
Some don't. Most of them don't. No.
Especially guys.
Yeah.
Funny.
True.
No, I don't think most teenagers do. It depends on upbringing.
Well, I know that I do, and I will try my hardest to. And so if I can, I don't see why other people can't. How you can?
If you have self-control, you can stop yourself from doing anything. Yeah. Just something that you have to believe in, and it helps if you have friends that believe in the same thing, because you don't get pressured into anything.
Do you think that alcohol and drugs influence your decisions of sex? Yeah, I think self-control is obviously affected by some external pressures, like peer influences, and alcohol and drugs will play a huge part. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They contribute a lot to the complete, deconstruction of society. So they lead to lack of inhibition, which is when most people end up losing their virginity.
That's it.
That's the main thing.
Yeah,
People
definitely
at
at
parties.
parties.
Yeah, parties and stuff.
Definitely at parties. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Especially with the whole date rape thing now.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, definitely.
I
Well,
think that, yeah.
when you're drunk or pissed or wasted,
Some of
you're
slang.
you're you're not going to be thinking very clearly. So if someone can't think clearly, they can't say no. Some things,
You know,
So yeah,
sometimes if you're stoned, you do crazy things.
you can't control yourself. It's the mature.
As you can see, your choices about abstinence and sex are not something to be taken lightly.
The decision to abstain from sex before marriage is a realistic option that we all must think about.
We know that sex is the ultimate act of intimacy and must be in a relationship with complete commitment, complete trust, and complete security, the marriage.
The choice that will lead you to the most happiness, true love, and freedom is abstinence before marriage. Think about it.
Recent statistics, medical statistics and social statistics are now showing to us that an abstinence-based lifestyle is a much better, happier and healthier one. That's why in America now, the government is putting a lot of resources behind abstinence-based education programs in schools. I'd like to read something now from one of those abstinence-based programs. The benefits from abstinence. The reasons to wait till marriage must go beyond traditional reasons like don't get a disease, don't hurt yourself emotionally, don't die and don't get caught. The advantages of abstinence go far beyond self-preservation. They include character development, preparation for marriage, social benefits to the children, family, community, and nation, and most important, creating the foundation for a true love relationship. After all, marriage is more about abstinence than sex. When you say I do, in order to make that relationship unique and eternal, then you still need to say I don't to everyone else. Making the commitment of abstinence and keeping to it takes an enormous pressure off you. There are 3 areas where abstinence is clearly a plus. In the first area, those who are not sexually active can devote more time and energy to developing character, talents, and career options. The emotional roller coaster of on-again, off-again relationships can be devastating. Choosing to become sexually active can damage your ability to love, degrade your emotional self-worth, and distort interpersonal relationships. Number 2, all of your friends can remain just that, friends. Instead of investing your time and energy in an exclusive, intimate relationship at such a young age, you are free to make a wider variety of lifelong friends. Number 3, the intensity of your first love is tremendous and unforgettable. It should be unique, last forever, and strengthen the marriage relationship. If your first love is your only love, there are no flashbacks and comparisons to haunt your marriage. To the extent premarital sex is accepted, to that extent is the idea of the necessity of marriage undermined. To the extent that premarital sex is practiced and encouraged, to that extent will women who want to wait until marriage find it harder to meet men who will marry them without first trying them out. So if you'd like to know more about this program or the work of the Family Federation, you can look up one of our websites or call us at our 0800 True Family number. You've been watching the Family Federation Report. Until next time, bye for now.
And in God's promise of restoration here of the ideal, the principles of creation in the beginning. And we talk about paradise lost. And then we talk about healing and
This is another program.
how does God work like this thin red thread of the promise of
Just
reconciliation?
close it down.
You want a promise of faith,
Yeah.
healing and reconciliation, and unity of the brothers.
'cause we're running out of time. Just turn off your web, your internet. I mean your page. Close your page. Yeah. I stopped sharing it for you.
So I think I mean, I basically am looking for Jeff at this point. I mean, that was one of the programs. There's actually quite a lot. Like RYS is a good one. There's some classic ones. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, that's it.
Yep. Thank you, Candace. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. If Jeff wants to, a couple of people want to make comments because we are over now reached the end of time, but that's okay. If Jeff, you want to make a comment.
Yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Candace, for showing us a little bit of history of what you were doing and together with us in New Zealand. Yeah, well, it's like watching one of those old 50s movies, even though it was only not so long ago. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I just want to say thank you, Candace, for this morning's presentation. God bless you, my sister.
I actually couldn't hear any of that. I had the speakers down. What did you say, Jeff?
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you, Candace, for all your effort, really, all those years of making that program. There are many battles that obviously that you went through, and on many levels to really put that out there. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we had to do. We had all this information back in the day, all these piles of videotapes in our centre, and Candace really felt that we had to show New Zealanders, what we had. And she is really into media. That seems to be her calling. And so she made a lot of effort over many years to make that program happen. A lot of sacrifice and heartache. But anyway, that's the history, and it's so valuable that she's got all those tapes somewhere for some museum. Okay, thank you, Candace. God bless you.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, at that time, the community free-to-air TV was available. Australia had it for a little while. We had it in Brisbane, where I was. We had Bris 33, but for some reason, the media company decided to stop having free TV. So we couldn't do the same as New Zealand that had it going for much longer. But now the free media is basically YouTube and Facebook and all the other social media. I think it's a great idea, but it does cost a lot, does need determination and need a team of people to stay on top. And there's a lot of good material all around the world that we can use.
Actually, just one little thing. Daniel's now trying to sort of get spark, and we've started a YouTube channel which we've done a pilot program called Melbourne Peace TV. So Daniel's keen. I don't know how far it'll go or anything, but it is fun, and people do like being interviewed, and we're trying to use it as a witnessing tool. We're trying to get their email and stay in contact with them. Like all those people in that program that you saw, they were just random people, and we've never seen them again, which was a pity, really, because if we'd got their emails, we could have stayed in contact. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Candace. It's time for us now to offer our unison prayer. So I'll just share the screen, and let's pray together. Ju, Ju, Ju. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, Candace.
And Candace today.
God bless you.
Thank you,
Greetings
Candace.
from Finland.
Yes,
Yes,
hello.
hello.
Greetings from Finland, Island.
Thank you, Candace.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.